Have you ever felt it? That quiet, haunting whisper that asks, "Is this all there is?" You've climbed the ladders, ticked the boxes, and played the part society wrote for you, yet a profound emptiness echoes in the chambers of your soul. This feeling is a sacred signal, a divine wake-up call from your higher self. It's a sign that you've been chasing a ghost, an illusion of success that was never meant for you. We are told that in our quest for belonging, we must conform. But as the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer warned, we forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. Think about that. 3/4 of your divine essence, your unique vibration, sacrificed at the altar of acceptance. If this message is already stirring something within you, a flicker of recognition in your spirit, know that you are not alone on this path. Let us know in the comments by simply typing, "I am ready," and consider subscribing to join a community of souls who are also awakening to their true purpose. Let me ask you a question that cuts to the very core of your existence. Are you genuinely pursuing a life of fulfillment, or are you desperately trying to prove to the world and to yourself that you are not a failure? Pause and let that question sink into your being. We are born into a world where the very definition of success has been warped into a grand performance, a spectacle staged for an audience that is perpetually distracted and impossible to please. True, soul-aligned success is no longer a quiet fortress built over years of dedicated purpose, unshakable self-respect, and inner integrity. No, today it has become a broadcast, a highlight reel meticulously curated for public consumption. It is something you must shout from the digital rooftops, wrapped in shimmering filters, clever taglines, and the subtle poison of humble brags. This relentless performance is a voracious beast, and if you are not vigilant, if you do not wear your spiritual armor, it will swallow your authentic self whole, leaving behind an empty shell. Just look around you, open your phone and scroll. Every swipe, every tap bombards your frequency with the same hypnotic story, the same siren song of hollow achievement. You see the 25-year-old millionaire posing with a rented jet, selling a dream of effortless wealth. You see the digital nomad sipping exotic cocktails in a far-flung land, broadcasting a life of perpetual vacation that conveniently omits the loneliness and instability. You see the productivity guru who claims to wake at 4 in the morning, to journal, meditate, plunge into ice-cold water, and somehow, miraculously, run 3 multi-million-dollar businesses before lunchtime. This is the new scripture of success, a gospel written in the ink of envy and inadequacy. The modern temple of achievement is built with private jets, adorned with Rolex watches, and its high priests are the gatekeepers of $10,000 masterminds and TikTok-ready lifestyles. The message is relentlessly clear. Everyone is crushing it. Everyone is living their dream. Everyone has a lucrative side hustle, a passive 6-figure income stream, a perfectly sculpted body, and a life that looks like a movie scene. Or so it seems. But here is the great paradox, the divine question that unravels this entire illusion. If so many people are supposedly winning this game, why does it feel like we are all collectively losing? Why are burnout, anxiety, and depression not just common, but reaching epidemic levels, an all-time high in the history of our civilization? Why are people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, people who have meticulously built careers, raised families, and checked every single box on society's checklist, quietly battling a soul-crushing exhaustion, a gnawing emptiness, and a haunting, persistent sense that none of this is enough? The truth is, the system is designed this way. It is a spiritual trap. In a major 2023 study conducted in the United States, a staggering discovery was made. Nearly half of all high-income earners, individuals making well over $100,000 a year, reported that their lives lacked meaning and purpose. Let that sink in. They did everything right. They worked tirelessly. They climbed the treacherous mountain of societal expectation. They reached the very summit, and when they arrived, they found nothing there but a cold, empty wind. Here is the brutal, liberating truth you must understand. Success, as modern society defines it, has become a moving target by design. It is a mirage in the desert of materialism, always shimmering on the horizon, always just out of reach. The moment you hit one goal, the goalpost shifts. You finally buy the car you've coveted, and suddenly you feel the pressure to own the house. You finally hit a six-figure income, and now the world whispers that you need 7 to be truly secure. You achieve the body you've sculpted through discipline and sacrifice, and now you're told you need to build a personal brand around it. It is a cycle that never, ever ends. It's like trying to fill a sacred chalice that has a gaping hole in the bottom. No matter how much validation, how much wealth, how much recognition you pour into it, it will never be full. And this is not an accident. It is the entire point. Modern success is not built to satisfy your soul. It is built to sell to your ego. It is an engine that runs on your perpetual dissatisfaction. It keeps you running, performing, comparing, and consuming. It transforms your divine life, your sacred journey, into a cold, impersonal scoreboard. And if you're not consciously playing to express your soul's truth, you are unconsciously playing not to lose. And that, my friend, is not freedom. That is a prison disguised as a palace, a gilded cage. And the most tragic part, the most insidious aspect of this grand deception, most people don't even realize they are trapped. They genuinely believe they are grinding for their families, chasing their dreams, building a legacy. They wear their exhaustion like a badge of honor and their stress as a sign of importance. But deep down, beneath the layers of conditioning and societal programming, what they are really chasing is approval. They are seeking validation from a world that doesn't even know their true name. They are yearning for that brief, fleeting high that comes when someone, anyone, looks at their life and says, "You've made it." But that high wears off with terrifying speed. And like any addictive drug, you will always need a bigger, more potent hit the next time to feel the same rush. You know this is true. You've felt it. That deep ache in your gut when you see someone else's curated life, and it seems they have more. That wave of shame that washes over you when you feel like you're not measuring up to an invisible, impossible standard. That relentless voice in your head, the one that whispers you should be further along by now, that is not inspiration speaking to you. That is your insecurity, expertly disguised as ambition. So let us stop pretending. Let us, right here and now, courageously decide to end the charade. Let's stop pretending that more success, in the form of more followers, more dollars, or more clout, will finally silence the doubt that echoes within. It won't, it cannot. Because the more you chase an external, societal version of success to prove your worth, the more you disconnect from the very source of what actually makes you worthy. Your worth is not something you earn, it is your divine birthright. It is inherent, it is absolute. The more you seek your reflection in the eyes of others, the more you forget what your own soul looks like. So, I ask you again, with all the love and urgency I can muster, are you really chasing success? Or are you just running from the deep-seated fear of being seen as a failure? Because in the moments that follow, we are going to dismantle this illusion, piece by piece. We will expose how society ingeniously redefined success, and why, if you do not consciously and deliberately reclaim that sacred definition for yourself, you could spend your entire, precious life trying to win a game you were never, ever meant to play. Somewhere along our collective journey, we made a fateful turn. We stopped defining success by the quality of who we are, our character, our compassion, our integrity, and we began defining it by the quantity of what we have. It's a subtle shift, almost imperceptible, but it is a change that alters everything. In ages past, success was an internal state of being. It meant living in perfect alignment with your deepest values. It meant being a person of unwavering integrity, a pillar of strength and honor in your community. It meant building something truly meaningful, a loving family, a beautiful craft, a legacy of wisdom, even if no one else on earth ever clapped for it. But that is not the world we inhabit anymore. Today, success means having more than the person next to you. It means more money in the bank, more recognition on a screen, more influence over the crowd. The focus has shifted from the internal to the external, from being to having. It is no longer about becoming the person you most respect. It's about becoming the image others will most admire. We have begun to chase validation, not virtue. We chase it not because it feeds our soul, it starves it, but because we have been expertly trained from birth to believe that this external validation is what proves our worth. Think about the kind of success that gets celebrated in our world right now. It is not the humble teacher who quietly changes lives in a classroom. It is the influencer who loudly builds a brand. It is not the devoted father who is present, steady, and emotionally available for his children. It is the entrepreneur with the Lamborghini and the passive income funnel, a man who may be a stranger to his own family. The message projected at us from every angle is crystal clear. If you are not being noticed, if you are not collecting attention as a currency, you are losing. This fundamental shift in our collective values did not happen by accident. The brilliant psychologist and philosopher Erich Fromm warned us about this very phenomenon decades ago. He said, "We have moved from a culture of being to a culture of having. We no longer ask the profound question, 'Who am I?' Instead, we ask a series of superficial questions. What do I own? What do I earn? What does my lifestyle say about me?" And it is within that tragic shift, from the state of being to the state of having, that we begin to lose ourselves completely. When having becomes the ultimate goal, then owning more inevitably becomes the sole measure of a good life. You don't buy a $10,000 watch simply to tell time. You buy it to tell the world, "I am winning." You don't drive that luxury car because it gets you efficiently from point A to point B. You drive it because of the statement it makes when you pull up in front of the restaurant. The object itself is no longer just an object. It has been transformed into a symbol of value, a prop in the grand performance of success. And the more you participate in this game, the more your very identity becomes entangled in external things, things you can lose. Your sense of self becomes terrifyingly fragile, wholly dependent on these external symbols. Your job title, your bank account balance, your physical appearance, your follower count. Take just one of them away, and suddenly you feel like less of a person. That is not success, that is a dangerous dependency. What makes this spiritual predicament even more perilous is that most people never stop to question it. We grow up immersed in a system that teaches us precisely what to chase, and we mistake this societal conditioning for our own personal ambition. You think you want the big house, the brand name, the admiration of the crowd, but is that truly your soul's desire, or is it just the echo of society whispering in your ear, programming your wants and needs? Here's the hard truth you must face. If your idea of success requires the approval of someone else, you don't truly own it. They do. And if you don't reclaim your own sovereign definition of success, you will continue to spend your life trying to impress a crowd that doesn't even know who you are, and, frankly, you wouldn't care if you disappeared tomorrow. This is the deception. Success is no longer about becoming more of who you truly are. It has become a relentless race to outperform everyone else. And the supreme irony is that the more you desperately try to stand out, the more you end up becoming exactly like everyone else, running the same tired, soul-crushing race. So, if you are tired, if you are feeling empty, if you find yourself quietly asking, "Why doesn't this feel like enough?" Please know, you are not broken. You are simply waking up. Because deep down, a sacred part of you still remembers the truth. Success isn't something you prove, it's something you live. There is a hidden cost, a spiritual tax, to chasing success in the way we've been taught. And it's not just the obvious tolls of burnout, chronic stress, or sleepless nights. It is something deeper, something more insidious, something harder to name. The true cost is your very sense of self. Because when you begin to use external success as a tool to prove your worth, it ceases to be a reward and instead becomes a heavy burden. You can never pause. You can never truly breathe. You are perpetually performing. Every milestone you reach just raises the bar higher. So you run faster, You work harder, you achieve more, not out of a joyous sense of inspiration, but out of a gnawing fear. It's the fear that if you stop, even for a single moment, the entire illusion will crack, and people will finally see who you really are underneath the accolades. The great psychiatrist Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the carefully constructed version of ourselves that we wear to survive and navigate society. It is not who we are in our essence. It is who we think we need to be to gain approval, to fit in, to be seen. But behind the persona always lurks the shadow, the parts of us we hide, deny, or reject. And here lies the profound paradox. The more you ignore your shadow, the more it secretly controls you. The more you avoid facing your true, unpolished self, the more lost you will feel, even in your brightest and most celebrated moments. True success, true spiritual freedom, comes not from escaping that shadow, but from courageously turning toward it, owning it, and integrating it into your whole being. It is only when you stop running from the parts of yourself that you believe are unworthy and start accepting them with compassion that you finally become whole. And that is the very moment the desperate chase for external validation ends. Let me share an example. There was a man who spent decades building a career that impressed everyone. He went to the top school, earned the highest salary, and had the perfect resume. But every single night, he came home to his beautiful, empty house, feeling a profound sense of hollowness. He couldn't explain it. By all external measures, he had everything he was ever supposed to want, yet none of it felt like his. One day, he simply left. Not in some dramatic, fiery blaze, but in a quiet, intentional, courageous step away from the life he had built but did not love. He started painting again, a passion he hadn't touched since college. No one clapped for him. No one cared. But for the first time in years, he felt alive. That man didn't give up. He woke up. He stopped chasing the version of success the world had sold him and started listening to the version that spoke from within. That is freedom. When success is no longer about external achievement, but about internal alignment, when it's not about being impressive, but about being authentic, everything changes. It's about knowing your intrinsic value, even when no one is watching. It's about feeling enough, not because someone else said so, but because you finally, deeply, believe it yourself. That kind of success doesn't come with a trophy. It comes with a quiet, unshakable peace. So, maybe the real question isn't, how do I win more? Maybe the real question is, what can I finally let go of? Maybe real success isn't reaching the top of the mountain at all. Maybe it's the sacred moment you stop climbing and finally start coming home to yourself. So let me ask you one last thing. When you wake up every morning and begin to chase what you call success, are you truly doing it for you? Or are you doing it because deep down you're terrified of what you would be without it? Are you building a life that you genuinely believe in, or are you just trying to outrun the fear of being seen as a failure? Most people will never pause long enough to ask themselves these questions. The treadmill of modern life moves too fast, and slowing down can feel like a weakness. And in a world utterly obsessed with performance, the worst thing you can do is stop performing. But understand this, if you always need success to feel valuable, what does that really say about your sense of value? It means that somewhere deep inside, you don't believe you are valuable without it. If you constantly need the next milestone, the next win, the next round of applause just to feel okay, then what you're chasing isn't purpose, it's relief. It is temporary relief from that quiet, constant fear whispering, without success, I am nothing. That is not drive, that is fear, dressed up as ambition. It is a prison with golden walls, and it is dangerously seductive because, as long as your sense of worth is tied to what you achieve, you will never feel safe unless you are achieving. You will never rest unless you are ahead, and you will never, ever feel free, because even in victory, you are still trapped. You are trapped in a game where the rules keep changing, the goalposts keep moving, and the scoreboard never stops blinking. trapped in a life that looks impressive on the outside but feels profoundly hollow on the inside. The world will not help you see this truth. In fact, it will actively encourage the opposite. It will keep handing you new goals to chase, new people to impress, and new masks to wear. But you possess the divine power to step away from that. You can reclaim your story. You can remember that real success is not about winning, it is about arriving. Arriving in your own life, fully present, without the crushing need to perform. It is about knowing who you are when no one is watching, and truly liking that person, trusting that person, and standing with that person, even when the rest of the world turns away. As Carl Jung taught, true freedom emerges when we face our own shadow, when we stop hiding the parts of ourselves we were taught to reject. That is where real wholeness begins, not when you finally made it, but when you realize you no longer need to. Not when you finally get what you want, but when you finally understand you were never lacking to begin with. So here is the real question to carry with you. Are you chasing success for yourself, or are you just trying to escape the shame of being seen as a failure? Be brutally honest. Because if you need success to prove you are worthy, then perhaps you have never truly believed you were worthy at all. And if that truth stings, let it. Sometimes the truth must hurt before it can set you free. But that freedom is waiting for you. It is not in the next trophy or the next social media post. It is right here, inside of you, right now, waiting to be remembered. So stop running. You already matter. Now, it's time to act like it.